create conglomerates. They less do that. And now those people who are still doing that, they're protecting their own, their people, their children. If you're a surgery of heart, I'm only protecting surgery of heart people. If you're a radiology, I'm only protecting radiology people. And I think America has forgotten that it originally started by groups sticking together so that these jobs would be secure for their nieces, nephews, sons, and daughters. And we got away from that.
That's a really interesting point. You know, when I was hearing this, you know, Gen Z, Gen X, Gen Y, boomers, all this stuff, it kind of like, do we have to subdivide? And now they're dividing Gen Z into multiple categories instead of just human and not human.
No, you're so right, because what we've done is we're atomizing society into smaller and smaller fragments. And that doesn't work because society is a whole. You know, that's WHOLE.
Good morning, everybody. Dr. James, are you there? Dr. James, are you there?
I am. I was changing the room title to acknowledge trying to wind down at 8:20. I am here. I'm listening.
No worries. I just wanted to ask you a question. Are you a licensed MFCC?
No, I'm not a licensed MFCC. I will be crossing my fingers very, very soon, a licensed clinical psychologist, also a health service psychologist. I've got all my ducks in a row for that. So it's I'm a psychologist practitioner more than I am a psychologist researcher, though I do some research and have in the past. And you know, I've had such social anxiety for my whole life that just doing these rooms has been helpful with that. I've begun to get a little hankering for what it would be like to teach a class. So
you got it. Thanks. I'll talk more about it offline.
Okay, Steve.
Thank you.
What's MFCC?
Marriage, Family, Child Counselor. A lot of non-PhDs, non-doctors that are qualified as therapists are MFCC, Marriage, Family, Child Counselor. I think there's another designation too, but
LPCC is family. Yeah, that's for social workers, but that's a whole different lane. I'm well down another track.
I am. That's why I asked.
Family therapists have a different type of training to where they're more, in my view, two decades in these areas, they're more balanced to all dimensions of the service. You know, it's not like a sociologist. It's not like a psychologist. It is one of the most balanced things that you'll ever kind of do, because you're able to see kind of all sides and many of the things of the people who practice that. Not me. They tend to see all sides of this service as opposed to how they were trained. Like psychologists are just trained one way. Family therapists, or in Steve's thing, marriage family therapists, they have a very multifaceted approach. You may come in for one thing, and they're definitely going to ask you about children. They're definitely going to ask you, and they're going to correlate all that together. The other thing I'll say to Rick is, yeah, it's an interesting thing, Rick. Most people don't like to look at it, but when America followed what Reagan wanted, which is, and you can go look at the speech that Cesar Chavez made, Rick. When you follow what Reagan wanted, which is this whole slave labor concept, let's go help China because Nixon just helped China. Let's go help China again because we don't want to pay these Americans. And a lot of people believed, okay, only certain type of Americans are not going to be unionized. Cool. But in actually all that stuff backfired. Letting China into the WTO backfired. Reagan's NAFTA backfired. Clinton's NAFTA on steroids backfired. all these things that took away from America, Rick, if we had just left it alone and let the internet naturally flourish, we'd have been good. 2 women created our ability to talk over the internet. That doesn't even get popularized, Rick. And my last point, Rick, what have the 1999 people really created? Seems like they're just weaponizing what we have. Hey, you got a parking lot? Let me create some technology to pirate the money out of that and have me do half the work of the person 2 generations who owned the parking lot. Hey, you got some type of medical thing with Dr. James? Let me try to pirate away some money away from him so his industry can shrink and I can sit at home and just collect it. Something to think about, Rick.
I've often thought that, I love technology. I do love technology, but technology in many ways doesn't solve the problem that it's supposed to be solving. It allows us to make mistakes, a lot more mistakes, a lot faster. But it's not really great at solving problems. Other than like mathematical problems, it's really good at doing calculations. It's not really good at doing analysis or trying to figure out human behavior.
Can I just throw in a quick plug because I'm not going to be able to stay on the app past 9.
Please do.
I just want because you guys are hitting on the topic of critical thinking versus information retrieval, which is the question that we started asking back at the millennium. What were we creating in our lifelong learners? And I believe that's what Karma Club is going to be about this week. So you guys are talking about
that
it.
is totally what Karma Club is going to be about this week because Sue wanted to do it. She obliged.
And you guys are all talking about it right now. The consequences. And I'm sorry, I don't know who just said it, but you're right. The internet got popular because of 2 women. And we don't give that any acknowledgement whatsoever. And had the internet been able to grow the way it could have grown, we might not be where we are. So come on Thursday and let's have a talk.
Thank you, Sue. Anyone else? Any comments? Anyone who hasn't spoken or anyone who wants to deepen the topic in it?
I want to ask a question for another room, like stick a pin in it, because it's a long conversation. I've been...
Oh, you always do this to us right at the end, and then we have to wait for an extra half
stick a pin in it. But this way we actually get to think about it before we talk about it. We don't just kind of shoot from the hip. But I was really sitting and thinking about Dr. Francine and Rick's comments about splintering. And I disagreed, but I was trying to think of why do I disagree? And so I think just it's really interesting to consider. It's interesting to consider what it means to be in a community and what kind of subsuming to the whole do smaller groups have to do in order for us to have community, right? Like everything is an exchange. But if I have different needs, for example, I'm the only woman that works at my company and they want to do the Monday morning meeting during child drop off. Nobody else drops their child off at school but me. Like, do I have to adapt to the community or does the community need to adapt to me? And where does that splintering become problematic and where is it helpful? I think that is a very interesting question, right? I think that there's a utility in talking about, boomers versus Gen Z in terms of the creation of opportunity for subsequent generations. That to me that has a lot of utility. But is there a point that is harmful and not helpful to the conversation? I think that'd be a really interesting conversation to kind of figure out where that line is and who gets to set the line. But not today.
Yeah, Yeah,
We are just really quick. Okay, just hold the thoughts. We are in the cool down. We're in the last 9 minutes. We are going to end on time. The tarmac is at 8:30. I will shut the room down if someone is mid-sentence. This is serious business today. So can everyone please keep their comments to under 1 minute? The stage is closed.
30 seconds. So it would be good if person A in the example was already with the community when it wasn't something that they could take advantage of. You know, a lot of times these conversations for person A are problematic or a light bulb above the head when it has to do with them. But what about Charlie when he had that same concern a month ago? What about Francois when he had that same, or she had that same concern 2 years ago? Person A in the example was not involved with the community on that.
Yeah, I think that would be an incredible conversation. How do you find a balance between we are all human beings living on the planet, but each of us has our own unique set of challenges? And how do you balance that without just stereotyping everything into, you know, you're in this bucket, I'm in this bucket, not, you know, the twain shall never be, you know. It's how do you get the gumbo to work?
I always hear people who are benefiting from what they.
Oh, we're losing you. You're breaking up.
We've got 7 minutes left, so if anyone wants to chime in, and then we can get back to Zile once he's back on.
Part of unity before you have a need.
We missed everything, Zile, outside of the last
Oh,
couple of seconds. Kind of like do you remember Forrest Gump where he got up on stage to give his speech, and then you hear nothing, and all of a sudden he says, "And that's what I think about Vietnam."
All right, let me pull over. So I said it is good that if person A is involved in the community, then it wouldn't be a separatist question to even begin with. Because I think what happens is, let's say, hey, I am the only black guy in my hospital, the only one, and the only one in strategic planning. Okay, I got some power, but guess what? I want to bring in other people. Not so much. We're a Filipino community, so we're only really hiring Filipinos. Okay, cool. Why did you hire that person? We got to train her on how to do control alt delete. Well, she and they and okay, cool, no problem. Now here we are months later. She's 72 orders behind. Everything is messed up. Hey, black guy, help us. No. You are not of a community concept. In the original part, you cannot weaponize and be an opportunistic, what I need type of person after the fact. So I, like you, am going to think of myself.
Yeah, I think for me the question is really a broader kind of like, it's a philosophical question, right? And this is where the utility is of how you frame a conversation, how you frame your discussion. Like, is it appropriate to talk about, how politically, for example, a group will vote when you look at their historical opportunities in the country, right? The benefits that they have experienced. I feel for for generations that are criticized, and you can't buy a house because of avocado toast, right? And that being so dishonest.
Oh yeah, the millennial.
That I like. That is such a dishonest way to frame the conversation. So I think that one of the challenges is that power always gets to determine what the frame of the conversation is. Like that's part of what it means to be in charge. And so as power becomes more diffuse, more groups have the opportunity to say what their reality is and tell their own story. And so that's the lens through which I hear the splintering comment. I want to hear from generations that are experiencing different challenges than my generation experienced. But I am very curious about the harm that we associate with that. I just, we want to be honest and stick to the time schedule. But I think we should all think about that and have that conversation from like a really thoughtful place, because without that kind of splintering, there's a lot of rights I personally wouldn't even have. Right? Like somebody had to say that these experiences are different for different groups of people. But I do think it's interesting to contemplate, like, when does that go too far and why do we feel like it goes too far? Is it when we're confronted with things we don't like? Is it when we're confronted with things that generalize and stereotype us? Nobody wants to be stereotyped. I just think there's a lot in here. So stay tuned, walking friends.
Yes, and here's your next metaphor. We get to reach the finish line at 8:30. So no one who has spoken, please speak. I mean, do not. There's no driving. We get to be at the finish line at 8:30. Let's help each other there, and then we can get some water, cool off, do what we want to do. Anyone who hasn't spoken, if you have a final comment, basically 20 seconds or less, so we can.
Hey, can I do my 20 seconds?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, listen, I know yesterday was sort of a bad handoff, so I've been thinking about it. And I haven't talked to you yet, Dr. James, so I should talk to you. But my thinking is I need to take some responsibility for this, because it's totally, I understand, when you go overtime. It's just that if I don't know that's happening, so I will try to make sure that I'm there at least by 25 after. And that if you do go over, we'll just do a handoff. So, if there's a 5-minute difference, or, if you go over a little bit, that's fine. But this way, I won't be sitting in a room, twiddling my thumbs. So, let's. Does that sound good?
So here, let me repeat back to you what I'm hearing you say. You would like to change the way you.
Oh, I'm not hearing you.
Yeah, you went dead, Dr. James.
Yeah, you went dead.
Forrest, come back.
Yeah.
Don't run.
Anyway, it's not a big deal.
Don't run, Forrest.
It's not a big deal. I'm going to try to come in when possible, 25 after. And when it's, we'll try to make the handoff around the half-hour mark. But if not, if it goes over 5 minutes or 7 minutes, I will at least be aware of it, and I can do the handoff. So it's not really that much of a change. I just want to, I don't want everybody to I hate when things are like completely arbitrarily black or white. So there you go. All right, that's it for me. I'll hand off when Dr. James says so.
Dr. James did say that he was ending the room at 8:30, even in the middle of a sentence, which is now.
And it is 8:30, so let's bail.
Maybe he got disconnected. So I will end the room.
I will go get the other one started. So I will see you there.
Okay, so I am going to end the room, even though it's not my place to do so, but it is 8:30 and respecting the wishes of the
Ben left. I want to just clarify something. I was in the Matrix. Worst timing ever, because I was asking him how he wants to do the mechanics of it. If anyone understood, this is my question, and I'll shut down. Is it that he wants to change the way he does rooms, and he wants a warm handoff so that this room becomes his room? Or is he saying something else? Because I'm super confused about that.
I don't think you need to worry about it. It's going to happen either way. It's going to happen because that's how life is. Life keeps on lifing. We'll do the best we can. will close down now and hand it over to him.
So handing it over, basically, is he just basically reiterating close on time? I have to get in touch with him.
I think he said that, I think this is what he said, that he would try to come in a couple minutes early, maybe into this room, to kind of ease the transition. But if this room went over and he mentioned 5 to 7 minutes, no problem.
Why don't we stop talking about this on stage, and why don't you guys just talk and let us know? Let's honor your
Thank you.
wrap the room, and we'll talk about it.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you. Well, I mean, when you bring up a topic with 10 minutes till and you come in,
not defeater, but this might be a kind of link between the Christian thought and theology on the one hand and the political thought on the other hand, and understanding slavery and race in early America, because Melvin Rogers, that's what I think you read the book. Melvin Rogers and others, they've really taken up this sort of black republicanism, a small r, they've really taken this up, and it's been real robust. Like when you read these statutes, like the one I read today, are sort of grounded in these religious and theological foundations. And so maybe the Augustinian, these early church fathers, especially these North Africans. You have to remember, these are North Africans. Shout out to the pro-blackers, they're North Africans. These North Africans might be a linchpin. This is exciting. I hope Vives for Dana has that on their recording. Yeah, I saw it both of them.
There's another book coming out. You can pre-order it now. Called. This is only for people who care about the sort of early church. But it's called Augustine the It's by another classicist, and she has used his letters to sort of and she moves him away. The point I would want to make is that she moves him away from being a Platonist to being inspired by another North African, Apuleius. People might know him from the Golden Ass, but she uses his letters as a sort of way to sort of knit sort of the African identity of Augustine. And not to say that people haven't been talking about this. It's it's well known. People talk about it, but there's a difference between what Alimi does and what she does in her text. Alimi leans heavily on the Romanness of Augustine's thought. She, on the other hand, demonstrates or attempts to demonstrate that his thought is solely African.
Yeah, when he wrote all the stuff, he was in all the main stuff. I think he was in Africa when he wrote it.
Yeah, he only spends 5 years outside of Africa, but is determined to go back. And also, he's not really. I mean, you think contextually, he's also fundamentally a country preacher. He's not in a big city. He's not in Carthage. He's not in a big city. He is a pastor. So.
How you doing, John? We can see you adjusting your John Kitover. We can see you on YouTube adjusting your. You got a blue shirt on with yellow stripes. We can see you adjusting the room, screening in on us talking about Augustine. I hope this is exciting content. John Kitover, we see you. We can see your bookshelf in your house. We can see how you have your clothes hung up on Walmart white plastic hangers because you don't have closets. We see you there, John Kitover. Hope you enjoy the content, the book recommendations. Appreciate you, brother.
Does he have a new page? I don't see anything live.
Google John Kitover or put it in the link. This one is Illinois Congressman John Kitover. Yeah, it's in front of a bookshelf. You can see some stuff hanging in the back. He was just rechanging it, adjusting it. Yeah, he has on a blue up there. That's his video unavailable. Amazing.
Yeah, because I went to report the last one and it was down.
That's the one. It looks like he just took this one down too, or he made it private.
He's still in the room.
We're gonna get you, John. You're going down.
Yes, back up.
Okay, all right, let me go ahead.
The retaliatory technique.
Donna said I was rereading Righteous Discontent, just because I think it's like a foundational text. It's just so odd to me. I think actually a lot of the anti-respectability feminists actually would love this book. They would actually love this book, but nobody wants to read it. I mean, the stuff on feminist theology, it's just, just ahead of its time. By Evelyn Brooks Higginbotham.
So why don't we go to, let's go to Moose. Moose was here first. Moose, what's been gnawing on you?
Hey man, it's funny you say that. I've taken a slight news cleanse, so I'm actually here to catch up. There was something that I actually did see. That it was a story about there was the attorney general or
of Nazism in the 1930s in concentration camps. And the fact that would Donald Trump become Hitler in 1942? And I was like, he could. He's not there yet, but he could. So we're seeing it. I mean, they now have a budget to create concentration camps all over the country. I think it was Christine somebody was saying that all the governors of red states need to get together because they have special funding available for every state to have a internment center. I mean, there's nothing. How else can you see this other than concentration camps? And particularly the way they're doing it. I mean, hey, you gotta see what they're doing down in Florida. That is a concentration camp. As a matter of fact, I don't remember concentration camps being places that were flooded with one toilet for like 50 people. I don't remember that. This could be potentially technically worse. It's astounding. It's shocking. It's outrageous. I think the thing that's been I've been most worried about the past couple of weeks is this idea that the big ugly bill has in it this huge amount of money designated for ICE. The ICE budget goes from $8 billion to $48 billion. And they are going to be hiring tens of thousands of new, I don't know what you call them, agents, or I mean, they're Gestapo, they're secret police. But to me, that's the really horrible telling thing, because there will then be an infrastructure for a politically based MAGA secret police that is completely unaccountable and motivated to break the law. And it's how do you stop that? How do we they're going to be using it to go not only against undocumented, whether they're violent criminals or not. And the violent criminal thing is such a huge. That's the original lie. There are very few violent undocumented. The vast majority, 98%, are all law-abiding. Not only law-abiding, they are. They don't want to have any attention drawn to them. Why would they do these kind of? I mean, their assumption that they are breaking the law by voting illegally or by doing violent crime is so logically absurd. Why would anybody who's in the country undocumented what would the benefit for them to be to illegally vote, which they can't do anyway? They can't illegally vote. All the votes are tied to specific numbers, which are tied to a specific registered voter. So if an unregistered voter takes it, it would be tagged immediately, and it doesn't happen. It's a lie. So that's the original lie. The original lie is the rapists and the murderers and the pedophiles that Mexico sent over to America. Well, that was the original lie by the original liar, and we can't forget that. It's so full of shit. Anyway, all right. Thank you for letting me vent. All right, let's go to David. It's your turn to vent.
Well, Ben, before you go to David, if you...
hold on, Ken. Let's go to David, and I'll come right back.
Go ahead, Ken. I'm just going to do one little correction on something, and then go David, then you can go back to me. But this thing that Moose said about the DOJ is you shouldn't conflate things. This DOJ is not going to investigate themselves. So the stuff that you're talking about with the DOJ doesn't involve any kind of things with ICE detention facilities. So this is like DOJ stuff that actually was done under the Biden administration examining prisons in different states. They have an investigation in Georgia. They have an investigation in California. So they were investigating prison conditions in state prisons, which is not unusual. I mean, we've had histories of abuses in state prisons. I mean, going back decades. I mean,
No, Ken, I didn't say it was ICE facilities. It was state prisons. No, it wasn't ICE. It was state prisons. Yeah. However, real quick, I will say that said, the Alcatraz, there were allegations that were investigated there about, I think, what Ben alluded to, 112 overflooding, potential septic problems, cockroaches, all that. And of course, it was, they did an internal investigation and they denied all allegations. But yeah.
Okay. Did you want to go ahead, David, or you want to pass to Ken?
I'll just say that statistically, it's been proven there's definitely evidence that immigrants commit less crime, less violent crime. We all know why, because they don't have as long a rope in the legal system. And so it's a pure lie, a concoction. I think the simplest way to say it is Trump calls it an invasion. That's what people, when they move from an economic circumstances, it's called immigration for a reason. The fact that
in the country
we haven't dealt with this problem is more of a festering wound that politicians in America hasn't dealt with about an ongoing known issue. Yet the politicians don't have the resolve. In fact, they had a bill to do it. I believe that Trump wanted the bill killed so that he could get reelected because he runs on the hate he's able to generate by lying, by scapegoating, by calling it an invasion. And that's sadly not called out every time he uses that rhetoric.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Anyway, let's go to Andrew and then Denise and then to Dr. Francine. Andrew, any thoughts?
I have a couple.
You have a couple. All right, go for it.
Actually, I really one that kind of just hit me this morning, and I did send it to a bunch of people here. Six Congress people and or senators sent a letter to the what do you call it when you're sending a diplomat to another country, like your wife is?
Okay.
No. Well, yeah, but who's the person? My brain's not.
Sounds good. We'll figure it out.
The ambassador to the United States from Canada, they sent a letter basically complaining about the air quality in their states and that it's affecting their people, which it obviously is. And it's unfortunate. But I guess they're really wanting us here in Canada to really get our house in shape, not realizing that they signed on to a bill that eviscerated the Green Act, to go and incentivize these fossil fuel industry, which is over the next 7 years, according to some studies, is going to increase the amount of carbon in the atmosphere by 7 billion tons. So a bit of a hypocrisy there, and not understanding obviously what they are doing, or not caring what they're doing, and then wanting to point a finger at Canada.
Of course.
That doesn't help us want to be your 51st state, believe you me. And I mean, how ridiculous. People don't understand how big our boreal forest is. We're talking about a vast area of land mass. And, there are some incidents of arson, but not way up north. We're talking about places that there are barely any people. And those that are there are being evacuated. We're talking, it's just crazy. It's crazy. But so I saw that this morning and just shook my head. And of course, over the last, I don't know, since 2015, I've been shaking my head so hard at the United States, it hurts.
Yeah.
Just, clangs. But yeah, so that was the big thing that I saw this morning, which kind of just gave me a moment to laugh.
Just a little thought.
The old days, when they had the smoking section in the restaurant. And, if you sat in the non-smoking section, I'm sorry, that's the same air. And this is the same deal. It's the same air. We can't hold the air back for you. Sorry, we'd love to, but we just can't do it. The other thing I was thinking about, somebody was talking about it yesterday. I can't remember if I heard it on the news or podcast or where, but they were talking about this Golden Dome idea that Donald Trump has proffered.
Right.
And in the past, Canada has been, we provided you our airspace free. There's no strings attached. You can have our airspace to do whatever it is that we want to do together as a North American continent, as allies, and including cruise missile testing, etc. That was all done over Canadian airspace, and we didn't charge you nothing. But of course, zero transactions. They probably want to. Well, he already has insisted on certain things, but I think we'll charge for the air, smoky or not. So there you go.
There we go. All right, thanks for the update. And I do remember those smoking days. I didn't know I was running across, for some reason, YouTube is sending me videos of what it was like in commercial air travel in the 1940s and 50s. And I am old enough to remember when you could smoke on an airplane and there were smoking sections, which now you think back to it, it's like, how can you have a smoking section? It's like you were all sitting together in a cigar tube. A smoking section. That's cute. Anyway, we want to go to Denise and Dr. Francine and then Dr. James. Anybody else who wants to come up? We got, 6. We got room for 5 more at the table. Come on up. Denise.
Good morning. Good morning. I've been watching the Epstein thing. I've been watching the communication, like first the incredible outrage, and now the kind of unified backpedaling is really something to watch. I mean, this is a Jedi mind trick of epic levels here, and it's just really interesting because it's like, what do you care about? What do you care about? If you can just be told to stand down, hey, we're gonna stop talking about this. I'm stunned because they were so upset about it, and now every Republican just voted not to release the files that don't exist. Or are we voting to release files that don't exist? If they don't exist, there's nothing to release, right? And it's just really interesting because they were so upset, and to watch everybody just kind of fall in line and backpedal from their really profound. It is really something to watch. It's actually terrifying, to be honest with you, because it really shows the influence and the lockstep kind of situation that we're dealing with. Makes it hard to kind of figure out how to communicate.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You're pinpointing it right where it belongs. I've been and I always say I am the most skeptical person. I am not one who is prone towards conspiracy at all, because I tend to think putting a group of human beings together and keep a secret, I think, is pretty fucking hard to do. So I am very anti-conspiracy theory, except for this one. Because I remember early on hearing the story about Bill Barr's father, who was we've talked about this before, who was the headmaster of the Dalton School in Manhattan, who had hired Epstein even before he had a degree in college. And he had no degree in math, but he was hired as a math teacher without a degree at the age of 20, 21, I went to a prep school, and every one of my teachers had at minimum a master's degree, and most of them from shows up, you know, how many years later, exactly at the time that Epstein is in prison, and he recuses himself. So he acknowledges his relationship, but it doesn't mean that he didn't order him killed. I mean, those are two separate things. And then there's the whole thing with Alex Acosta, who became the labor secretary, who was the prosecutor in charge of his bullshit prosecution. I mean, there are so many things about this that are clearly wrong, and clearly Trump is in the middle of it. Clearly, Trump was Epstein's best friend for 15 years. Clearly, Epstein used to use Mar-a-Lago as a base of operation for many years, and many people know about that. There are so many pictures and details of Trump being involved. So it's the major one. Now, the thing I love about it is it's horrendous, and it's awful to think that Donald Trump was part of this underage sex ring. It's horrendous. It's awful. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't have any more to do with being president, other than character, than Hillary's emails. It really is sort of, it's horrible and terrible and awful, but it's not like, I designed and fomented a coup, a violent coup, an insurrection, and tried to steal an election. That's sort of more relevant. And so this is sort of interesting because, in a way, the maggots and the people from the right have always used, like, Hillary's emails, Hunter Biden's laptops. It's always been something that was sort of so stupid that fighting against it was like boxing, air. Because it's like, how do you box air? Because at the end of the day, why do Hillary's emails even matter compared to an insurrection, let's say? It's crazy. So I think this is going to, despite the fact that everybody has been obedient and Fox News and everybody else is like shut down within 24 hours, they're not quite. Because I do think
it was like the Russia hoax. And so that gave them something to hang on to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do think this is different than some of the other things that we talked about because, I do talk to a lot of people who disagree with me, and one of the kind of anchors is that they are on religious moral grounds. That is a key anchor to the belief system. And now how you get there when this guy has been accused of this and that, and he has all these history, and I don't know, that was the greatest con of the century, right? But now to have a situation that they literally, so many of these people, Dan Bongino, Alex Jones, they really put their entire brand around this conspiracy, and this as an indicator. This has been used as a driving indicator of the depravity of Dems for a really long time, right? And so I think it's really interesting to see if they're going to really step away. I think this is a major chink in the armor. I know my friends that are evangelical Christians are very uncomfortable. And they've been holding their nose, right? Of I don't like everything about him, but I like his policies. Well, they don't like his policies now either. And this is such an insult of their intelligence that I think it's really interesting. I just think it's a little bit different than everything else that we've seen. And I'm curious to see how it plays out. Every accusation is a confession, right? You think about, remember the people that went to the pizza shop
because they thought pedophiles are in the basement selling like these are true believers. They do believe this stuff. So it's interesting to see, like, now that their leader is obviously implicated, their ability to kind of step away from it, I find fascinating. Let's see.
We'll see. And I agree. I think there is a distinction in that wacko community. There's a difference between the true Trump believers who will do whatever he says, and the ones who, the QAnons, the influencers. See, I don't think that Tucker Carlson's, at the end of the day, I think Bongino, or whatever his name is, I think he's out of there. I think at the end of the day, he looks like he's going to turn. I'm not so sure about Kash Patel, but I do think that the other guy is going to turn. But the thing is you're right. This is different because it goes to the core of their belief system, which is there is this conspiracy of something outside of government that's controlling stuff. And so the argument does become, well, Trump is doing the cover up because he's being controlled by something else. Is this something else? The oligarch tech guys could be. They could easily turn on Musk and the tech guys. I mean, they should if they're anti-elitist. Who's more elitist than a billionaire? And so you're right. I see there being some. And look, the Fox News has done this to themselves because there was 24 hours of Fox News looking like it was going to turn, and then all of a sudden, overnight, they were given the orders to not do it. So this is now the Fox Epstein cover-up. That's the name of what this is. This is the Fox Epstein cover-up. And I do believe that the Democrats actually have a little push. I thought Hakeem Jeffries was saying the right stuff. So was Jamie Raskin. I believe that there's some power here to keep this alive in conjunction with the crazy right-wing influencer people. So, like you said, Denise, get your popcorn. Let's see if we can keep this going. All right. Let's see. Oh, geez. Dr. Francine has been sitting there waiting, and also Dr. James. So let's go to Dr. Francine. It's the doctor hour. So you can't get here unless you have some sort of degree. Dr. Francine?
Yes, I am so confused by how the right is treating all of this. But it's so unimportant. I mean, while we are focused on this, and even focused on it in this room where we're smart people who should know better, this is still detaining people without caring whether they're legal or not. They're just like, take them now, find out later. You know what I'm saying? So I can't get too excited about Epstein because, come on, Trump was involved with Epstein.
Sure.
He screwed underage women. You just know he did. But it doesn't matter because he's now our president. And what he did with underage women should have mattered at the polling booth, but it didn't. And therefore, we have him as a president. And what we have to do now is stop him from doing more damage. Taking away immigrants without knowing, without due process. I was going to say without knowing even who they are. Never mind due process. It's like,
no, they're just, you've got brown skin, we'll take you, and then we'll ask questions later.
Yes, exactly. So if you're trying to talk about what would bother somebody like me, that bothers somebody like me.
I agree with you, Dr. Francine, but I have to push back just a little bit because I do, like I said before, I think that what do you call it? That the whole Epstein thing is, you're right. It's not really. It's a distraction, but the power of it is this really bothers Trump. And the fact of the matter is that we also have to do whatever we can, use whatever tools to neutralize him and his power and his reach. And if he gets caught up in this, and this keeps on going, and this drives him crazy, and this starts being a normal element, just like during the 2016 campaign, there wasn't a day where they didn't talk about Hillary's emails, and there was always that in the background. Well, if this becomes in the background every single day, that this comes up, even if it's not relevant.
Because they already voted not to release the files,
That drives the QAnon people crazy. That's the thing that drives them crazy. And that's the thing that you can point to, because they are now doing things that you can actually physically point to and say, hey, look what you did. Remember the transparency. I don't know. I just think, and it's my opinion, that if we can keep this going, I think this will, whether it's a slow burn or...
But it's not a solution to people's problems. People with everyday problems do not give a shit.
I know, but the solution to people's problems are to make sure that Donald Trump is ineffective. That is the short-term solution. Because there is no, we can't go one by one and try to attack each of the things that he's doing, because there are 100 of them. So the best we can do is
just sitting there.
If we can make him ineffective, and if we can distract him, the destruction of the institutions will at least go at a slower pace, so we can at least buy time into the 2026 election. Because that's all we have.
I'm not sure. I think with an insecure person, the more he feels on attack, the more likely he'll be cruel.
Well,
totally.
But as he becomes more cruel, there's an argument to say that will make him more vulnerable and will accelerate people's anger again, turning them against him.
And he's not a god. He gets his power through his coalition, right? So anything that compromises his coalition and his support is what attacks his power. I think that's kind of how I think about it. Like, I always keep in mind that Capone didn't go to jail for murder or selling. Like, he went to jail for tax evasion. You get him how you get him, right? So whatever tools in the arsenal, I think you use.
I love it. That's what I do. I believe that. Okay, all right, let's go to Dr.
I accept.
Wow. No, you know what? We can both have opinions that are different, even though we want the same conclusion. It makes sense. It's a good conversation. I don't think it's one or the other. Dr. James, how are you doing?
I am well. I am about to hit how many steps right now? Let's see. Holy cow. I'm at 8,300 steps, and it's 9:11 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, so I am doing great.
Then do you like to have a drink and then go to bed?
Exactly. I have some Cheetos. I get in front of the TV. I binge on I Love Lucy episodes.
There you go. I love it.
Yeah, so just a couple of things here. So I'll do the good news and the bad news. So here's some good news I just read. The number of homeless people in Los Angeles County declined by 4% for the second consecutive year, dropping to 72,308 individuals, according to data released by the Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority. And street homelessness showed steeper declines, with unsheltered populations dropping 9.5% countywide and 7.9% in the city, while the number of makeshift shelters, tents, and vehicles decreased 13.5%. And they say officials attributed this to progress to aggressive encampment clearing programs like Mayor Karen Bass's Inside Safe initiative and record high permanent housing placements of nearly 28,000 people in 2024. And so this marks the first time since the point in time count began in 2005 that homelessness has declined 2 years in a row, representing a turning point after the crisis peaked at 75,518 people in 2023. Though despite the progress, LAHSA noted the region still requires more than 485,000. That was 485,000 affordable housing units to meet demand, highlighting the ongoing challenges of addressing the root causes of homelessness. So this basically suggests that there's been a 17.5% drop in street homelessness since base or basket office.
Can you hear Dr. James talking about the homeless people and how it's down 4%? It's such great news.
He's a doctor.
And he hit 8,300 steps, and he's not even a fucking doctor.
I lived in LA for almost 2 decades of my life. Basically my late adolescence through my young middle age. I was in Los Angeles or Long Beach. I've lived all over LA. And, I've been saddened to see, how things changed after I left in such a short period of time, even though things were already pretty bad in a lot of spaces.
And you're going to keep voting Democrat, Scott? Please.
Doing parties in downtown LA. I'm very familiar with Skid Row and all the different places and just sort of what goes on down there. And,
today he admitted he's not an actual doctor and that he doesn't even have his degree yet to be a psychologist.
A trend that continues.
Why do you admit that?
Okay, so that was good news.
People were asking him about his career, and he's like pre-licensed, and he can't find a job.
Any student who is repaying the loan and over to Biden's SAFE plan, which basically
he says he has terrible anxiety, and this app has been great for him.
We're not paying towards our principal, and our interest rate was snowballing our debt, which that's happening.
It is lunatics. It's a bunch of couch warriors.
So that our loans would not snowball, and then we could actually pay them off.
Oh, he's got huge educational loans.
And so right now we're all in this weird initiative forbearance, which says 0% interest, but you're not making any credit towards your forgiveness right now in terms of the time spent.
This is a man who has a huge amount of student loans. You can tell. Everything is projection, Scott. You just have to listen to what people are saying, and they're literally telling you about themselves every single time.
But we can't go back into repayment.
Everybody's a narcissist. They just talk about themselves.
The federal government, the education department, complete disarray, and they can't get us into. Even though they say there's plans for us, we can't get into them. And so what's happening is, we are going to be accruing interest without a means to do anything about it, to earn credit towards forgiveness. And this is a really precarious situation, especially because I just read that, this week or last week, judges decided
he took out student loans and he can't pay them back.
Are now going to be laid off at the Department of Education, and they are basically trying to return all of that sort of administrative duty back to the states. And so
go in that room and pick a fight. Pick a fight with Ben and say, hey, this room's big. This is the deep state clowns.
Doctors and clinicians and lawyers and expecting them to have means to get our loans paid back. And dying in student loan debt.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. They killed the room. They killed the room while Dr. James was still talking.
And, I just don't think, I'm really feeling sort of dragged down by all of this because because it's affecting me. And so self-interest dictates that I'm going to notice it.
Yeah,
but,
it's affecting
in any
me.
case, I just wanted to throw that out there, just in case you.
First of all, I think it's a good point, and we do want to hear it. One of the things that I love about this Clubhouse is you get to hear everybody's personal story. With that said, I have one of my sons still has about $10,000 outstanding that they would have forgiven him because he's now 40 years old, so the debt is like almost 20 years old. So they were forgiven within the Biden plan. But and he's overseas and he doesn't give a shit. It's like he's like the thing is, hopefully, and I'm an optimist about this. I think by the time 2028 happens, that there will be a reversal. And so if we can stick it out for 3 more years, I think that the Democrats will be back in power, and they'll they'll be not only addressing this, but I think they're going to use it as a campaign element.
And that the Democrats might do that.
I don't know
that
young people.
I don't know if the Democrats have the agenda.
My kid's 40 years old.
I think if the Democrats take the House, that will
it's definitely an issue, but I do think that a lot of this stuff is really so outrageous and so destructive, but it's not it's like 3 years from now we can start rebuilding and putting things back the way they should be. So I'm glass half full there.
Okay, Scott,
anyway,
I'll talk to you
on the stage here. Oh God, goodness, we have Stephanie and Rick. Stephanie, how are you? What's up with you?
Hi there. Good to see everybody. Lots of stuff as usual. Just thinking of the Epstein thing. I think Roy is right in the chat that, I think the Epstein thing is a fissure. It's created a fissure that can be exploited, although I think it is a real issue that we need to provide some kind of justice to victims. But I don't think Trump was involved with underage sex, because I think if that's what was in there, the Biden administration, it would have been a leak. Somebody would have leaked it or brought it out legitimately. So that it might be his friends or people he knows that are in there. I think that the MAGA people that want the Epstein stuff out think that Clinton was having underage sex, which I doubt. But that's really not what I want to talk about. But I do think that it's very interesting that Laura Trump came out yesterday and said it needs to be transparent. Family member, his daughter-in-law, runs the RNC. That's really significant. And it's also that Trump is on the phone with the podcasters, and about 3 or 4 of them have pulled back and are not going to criticize the Epstein that mention it anymore. So you have the President of the United States calling podcasters. I think that's a little bizarre in and of itself. But then they're also buckling to the power. And you wonder, what is he saying? Am I going to turn, I'm going to turn my MAGA supporters against you? Is he leveraging some kind of threat to them? But anyway, that's not really what I want to talk about. I think it's a fissure that could be exploited, but I think it has to be, I don't think it's about Trump and Clinton having sex with underage kids. I think it's it's more about finding justice for the victims. And also that Maxwell has said that she's willing to talk, Epstein's partner. So let's see. She knows if there's a list. Let's find out, Anyway, besides that, I posted some articles in the chat. I have 2 other things on my mind I'd like to discuss. One is Obama and Mark Cuban and Jane Fonda have come out with input criticisms about the way the Democrats should be talking about things. So Obama said last Friday at a fundraiser, Democrats need to stop staring at their navel, get a little tougher. But he didn't really, and figure out. That's what he said. He said, figure out. And I just thought, I think it was a little too vague. I think he should have been more specific. Although I know former presidents don't like to critique current presidents, but Obama has been doing so more lately. So anyway, that's one thing. The other thing is Mark Cuban came out and said, it's a waste of time to just keep saying Trump sucks, that we should go to the states and the governors, because they're the ones that are going to have to respond to the Reconciliation Act, or the BBB. They're the ones that are going to have to figure out the solutions for their states. And so go target the states, zone in on the governors, find out what the states are going to do, and that's where the focus should be. So that was kind of an interesting thing to me, too. I think that's a little bit more substantive than what Obama was saying. And then I put in the Jane Fonda article for a couple of reasons. One is that's where I'm at. I work on climate and democracy, and that's where she works. She works by besides her climate work, she went to jail on her 82nd birthday for climate. I mean, she's out there doing the real stuff on the streets and also putting her money behind it. She puts her money behind local elections, some state elections. She's come to a fundraiser we had for Central Valley Matters. She was our guest speaker with Dolores Huerta. She is a real trooper. She's a
real deal.
Yeah, exactly. And she is doing the kinds of things that I think elected national politicians should be doing, as well as state. But I think the elected national politicians are not putting enough of their boot leather in the game. I think they should be getting arrested. I think they should be out marching with the people on all these protests instead of town halls are good. Holding town halls in red districts are good, but it's not quite enough. They just need to push through and do a little bit more. I would hold Jane Fonda as a great role model. So I'm interested in talking about the feedback on that, and then I have another question for the group. And because I've been bothered by one of the protests I'm going to, something happened, and I need some feedback. Anyway, what do you guys think about Obama, Cuban, and Fonda's input lately?
About their input? Oh.
Well, they've all come out and spoken. Yeah.
Exactly. Anybody here? I mean, I have sort of my opinions. Anybody want to hit that topic? Rick, you haven't spoken yet. Ricardo.
Well, I think that they all have kind of different methods to do things. I don't think it's a super unified vision. I'm not really seeing a vision. When they say Democrats should be more tough, what does more tough mean? Does more tough mean that the political party should take more control of their own political party? Does it mean that they should fight legislation harder? And how do they do that? Does becoming more tough mean self-criticism and figuring out what's wrong? I don't really know what that means. Mark Cuban, honestly, I don't know all that much about him. I do know that he's not a huge fan of Trump, but that's all I really know. I don't really know where he stands on state politics, where he stands on states' rights versus federal control. I don't know where he really stands on things like social safety nets or student loans.
Yeah.
I don't know much about him. Jane Fonda, I think Jane Fonda kind of walks the walk, but she's a celebrity who's had kind of a past that is highly weaponized against her, rightly or wrongly. It's still very effective on a lot of people. The weaponization of her sitting on a North Vietnamese anti-aircraft gun while saying that she was anti-war. That's not a good look, and it's not something that's easy to get over after it's been used for so many years. But, she goes out and she gets arrested, and that does make news, whether, you blame the celebrity or not, it's effective at getting news. I don't know if it's that effective at changing minds. Like, is it getting new people, or is it getting her cheering squad more cheery? So it's, and I know that coming up with plans or good plans, can't really be put into a slogan because it's way too complicated. But, I would like to hear more of a plan,
Right.
If they really have a plan, write it out, publish it.
Right. Well, I think Jane Fonda does the most of that, more than the others. I mean, Obama and Cuban. I mean, Cuban has specifics, and he has come out about the the Democratic mayoral guy that won. I can't remember his name right now, but he said he's kind of the other side of Trump. They both are put out policies that can't be done, popularist policies that can't be enacted. But so anyway, I think Cuban gets more specific. Obama's like, come on, you know, you have a lot more experience. You can be more specific. I'm kind of disappointed in him. But I think the thing that I admire, one of the things I admire about Fonda is that she uses her celebrity to earn money, to raise money. She gets out there and does it, whereas every celebrity who, you know, there's a lot of other people who could be doing the same, or there's only about a handful, 5 to 10 celebrities that I think really put their muscle into the game. But she's the one that I remember. She goes out and she helps people raise money. She goes to fundraisers. She lets people use her name to help bolster their fundraising. And money is a big name of the game, you know, and especially early money in campaigns. So I admire her for that. But anyway, any other thoughts? And then I'd like to get your
opinion. Yes. I have some real quick housekeeping to do. Scott Jones, the famous Reverend Scott Jones, our friend, you're going to have to go out and come back in because it's not allowing us to let you come up and speak. And we would love to hear from you. So go out and come back in. I will tell you personally, I know Mark Cuban. We met like 30 years ago. He and I share the fact that both of us grew up in Pittsburgh, and we have common people that we know. But I know him from when he was running. This is way before he became a gazillionaire. He was just a common millionaire at the time. But I was running an early internet company in Los Angeles, and we worked together on a project very early on. So I know Mark pretty well. And he's a really good guy. It's somewhat of a surprise that he got into politics because he's really been apolitical most of his life and most of his career. He's always been a practical person. He's always sort of been a institutional Democrat. And he was very disappointed when many of his friends got red pilled. And that's one of the reasons of his reaction and his activism. But it's also, he has become more active. He sold his share. Well, he still has a share, but he sold his majority ownership of the basketball team, the Dallas Mavericks.